People hate Sarah Lynn.
Suck a dick, dumb shits.
Is how I wanted to start this video essay, but let's be real here. I can't. Full disclosure, when I asked people in the Bojack Horseman community groups why they didn't like her, there was not a single person that didn't. Which I get. I love her just as much as everybody else. However, I was shocked there wasn't some silent seething minority because despite how much of a great character she is, I can never really fully figure out her place in the broader thematic world of the show. As much as she was a beautiful and tragic figure, it seemed like she only existed to propel Bojack as opposed to being an individual. Everyone else had lives and moments outside of Bojack. Heck, they even had full episodes. But Sarah Lynn only appears in his storyline. She's definitely a three-dimensional character, but she's kind of the runt of the litter when it comes to character development in characters that have development to be had. Everyone else gets their own fleshed out why, but Sarah Lynn's why is mainly justifying her place in Bojack's life and explaining her death. And inasmuch she's limited to what she can do within those boundaries. Because of that, she minimized some of the major themes in the show, which I feel can be summed up by two of the most quotable lines.
Don't stop dancing.
And
you are all the things that are wrong with you.
Individually, they're insightful and thoughtful, but they never really meshed in my head. I know that's basically blasphemy to say in relation to Bojack Horseman, but hear me out. Bojack Horseman, the show, is a masterpiece. Everything, and I mean everything, is used at some point for plot or thematic payoff. Zach Braff dies in season 3, then comes back in a surprisingly meaningful way in season 6.
Is that Zach Braff?
Who?
When Bojack steals the D from the Hollywood sign, it stays Hollywoo. And all the emotional through lines, no matter how specific they are to any character, can relate to everybody. With that in mind, what threw me off about these lines,
and don't stop dancing.
And
you are all the things that are wrong with you,
is that they don't relate to everybody in the series. Especially when you look at them in relation to Sarah Lynn's comparatively shallow character exploration. I think there's two reasons for this.
One!
Since Don't Stop Dancing is so closely tied to Sarah Lynn's journey in the entertainment industry, it was difficult to connect that line with anybody outside of that bubble, like Diane or Todd or most of the audience. And two, You Are Everything That's Wrong With You didn't work with the show's use of thematic through lines because Sarah Lynn's connection to Don't Stop Dancing was what was wrong with her. And that connection only came about by people pushing her toward fame so they could exploit her. It wasn't her fault.
Mommy didn't do what Mommy did to that Star Search producer so that you could be an architect.
Basically, by being the martyr with weak thematic integrity, she drains any hopeful or uplifting message that the audience may have gotten from the series or any other character. She is, and forever was, doomed. Which can be a depressing thought for anybody who even remotely relates to her. But after revisiting this series for literally the 6th time, something started to resonate with me in the episode called The View from Halfway Down that changed my opinion on the way Sarah Lynn was handled and her role in the series. No, it wasn't the catchy musical number.
Shows are a never-ending life, of course. A silhouette that stays when you are gone.
It was Sarah Lynn's speech about sacrifice.
Sacrifice is good. It has to be because I sacrificed a ton and I was freaking awesome.
Oh, and what did you ever sacrifice?
I gave everything. I gave my whole life.
You died in a hedonistic bender.
I'm not talking about my death. I'm talking about my life. I gave my whole life.
What struck me about this was that before, Sarah Lynn seemed like a complacent character trapped in a world she didn't create. But once I looked at her through the lens of self-deprivation and loss, she stopped being the contradiction. She wasn't just a tragic prop destined to die so Bojack was able to reflect. She allows us to more fully explore some of the unique ideas this series presents us with by showing us that they're not as black and white as they may originally seem. So I guess I'm not really defending Sarah Lynn against people who hate her, because as we discussed, nobody does. I guess I'm more defending her place in the show against me for thinking it was more shallow than it probably actually was, and exposing her broader relativity outside of the entertainment industry. Whether you consider this a defense or not is up to you, but that's what I'm going with. This is my video. On that note, my name is Ariana Alexis, and I did not misspell defense in the title. In Canada, where I'm from, defense is spelled with a C and not an S. So take with that what you will. Alright, so with that all out of the way, let's dissect Sarah Lynn through those quotes. Starting with,
and don't stop dancing.
Out of all the lines, this one stuck with me the most. It speaks to a deep-seated need inside artists to sacrifice their happiness to create a legacy and earn validation from their audience. Sarah Lynn is the embodiment of that sacrifice. She gave up her dreams of being an architect and having a normal life in pursuit of pleasing people who supported her through parasocial relationships. Parasocial relationships being when one person feels they have have a meaningful relationship with another, who is usually a celebrity, but the other person doesn't even know they exist. Like that one time when you were 18 years old and you forced your family to go on vacation from Toronto to New Jersey so you can meet Walter Flanagan from Comic Book Men, and you ask him a la Clerks commentary if they still call him the Lon Chaney of the 90s, to which he awkwardly giggled and said no. Like that. That's a parasocial relationship. It's really nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you too.
This harmful way of thinking can be traced back to what Bojack taught her when she was a little girl on the set of Horsing Around.
Your family will never understand you. Your lovers will leave you or try to change you. But your fans, you be good to them, and they'll be good to you. The most important thing is you gotta give the people what they want. Even if it kills you. Even if it empties you out until there's nothing left to empty. No matter what happens, no matter how much it hurts, you don't stop dancing, and you don't stop smiling, and you give those people what they want.
Sarah Lynn appears to peacefully accept this message through years of reinforcement. She may never get the freedom she wants, but at least she'll have the love of anonymous admirers. Her speech from The View from Halfway Down, an episode where she's already dead, is one of the only times she's defensive about how she lived her life. There's panic in her voice.
Sacrifice is good. It has to be because I sacrificed a ton and I was freaking awesome.
This is when I realized that she hadn't been comfortably numb. She was knowingly living in a waking, screaming hell. She didn't just sacrifice the life she could have had. She sacrificed her sanity. She acknowledged the torment she faced, but decided to ignore it because once she wasn't cute and young anymore, physicalizing that torment was what the fans responded to.
Do you like seeing me suffer? Because you know I'll plead for you.
If she actually pursued what she wanted outside of Hollywood, she would lose everything. The audience, the adoration, the relevancy, the legacy. And that's why she'll casually mention her inevitable tragic death in unrelated conversation.
I'm at a place right now where I never need to grow as a person or rise to an occasion because I can constantly just surround myself with sycophants and enablers until I die tragically young.
It's why her slip into the final goodnight was so peaceful. It's why she was so reckless with drugs. She wasn't afraid of dying because it would give her an escape from constantly having to perform for the love she craved.
Why you took the struggle and the strife, of course, ended and your legacy lives on.
I can see why it's easy to rationalize sacrifice as putting yourself in pain in pursuit of something you want. We live in a world that regularly uses discomfort as a measure of worth.
Have you ever heard the expression, beauty is pain?
No pain, no gain.
I'll take it easy when I'm dead.
Life is pain.
We validate ourselves based on how hard we push ourselves. But I argue that that is not sacrifice. Sacrifice is, by definition, the act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy. But after looking at Sarah Lynn's role in the series, I don't think her actions can be categorized as sacrifice. When you define yourself by your tendency to forfeit your own well-being for the sake of something unmaintainable, your sacrifice is really just self-destructive behaviors masquerading as something noble. Real sacrifice is recognizing and letting go of those harmful behaviors that you use as a crutch as opposed to dealing with the underlying issues. As Bojack said,
When we valorize the idea of sacrifice, of loss, of suffering,
Bojack, don't start with this again.
when we grow up in a house that does that, we internalize this idea that being happy is a selfish act, but sacrifice doesn't mean anything. Sacrifice? In the service of something greater? Maybe, but just in and of itself? What's the good in that?
Sarah Lynn's character arc matches this perspective on sacrifice as it relates to the entertainment industry. This is supported by the people who answered my Sarah Lynn questionnaire in the Bojack groups, claiming that her story mainly acted as a window into the struggles of fame. There was a disconnect in how Don't Stop Dancing could relate to a life outside of Hollywood. To understand how Sarah Lynn connects beyond the world of celebrity, we need to revisit the first time she internalized Don't Stop Dancing.
You don't stop dancing, and you don't stop smiling, and you give those people what they want.
Nope, not there. Here.
Bojack? Oh my god, bring him in! It is so great to see a real friend who knew me before I got huge and isn't just trying to get something out of me.
She's vulnerable and excited when Bojack visits for the first time in forever. These are emotions we rarely see from fully grown Sarah Lynn. She even has these posters on her wall reminding her she's worth something outside of the audience. Almost like she's actively trying to prove young Bojack wrong. And then Bojack reveals why he's visiting.
I'm doing this new show, the Bojack Horseman show, but it's been a lot of fun. The ratings aren't great, but we have this upcoming episode, and we're looking for a really big guest star.
Oh, you want me to be on your show?
That, right there, is the moment we see the life leave her eyes as she learns the true meaning of Don't Stop Dancing. It's not that your friends and family will leave you as the audience remains. The lesson is that everyone will leave you, unless you're useful. As the song tells us,
"The audience is everyone you know, my friend. Leave them with a smile when you go."
it doesn't matter how sad you are. Nobody cares, even the people you care about. As Beatrice, Bojack's mom, said to Bojack as a child,
Nobody gives a damn what you feel. You've got an audience out there, and they want to hear you sing.
if you look closely, this interpretation of the line is Sarah Lynn's main motivation through the series. Her obnoxious, self-centered behavior all makes sense when you consider everyone close to her has used her and tossed her away. Why would she spend energy making meaningful connections when attachment ends in pain, abuse, and abandonment? The obvious hints at her stepfather's inappropriate conduct.
Why can't you do this in Sarah Lynn's dressing room?
My stepdad's in there and he's being weird. My mom's boyfriend homeschools me. He's a photographer.
Princess Carolyn, who only attempted to build a friendship with her to get to Andrew Garfield, or how her ex-boyfriend Andrew Garfield only dated her for celebrity couple status.
When we started dating, you were the biggest star in the world, but your last few albums tanked, so now I don't even know what you are anymore.
This bleeds into her behavior with Bojack when they reconnected in season 1. Bojack bolted after exploiting their friendship so many years ago, and that's why she affords him zero emotional bandwidth when he re-enters her life. However, she does start to warm up to him because despite Bojack previously leaving her, he was still her father figure. He inadvertently provided comfort and stability during her formative years.
You're just a rugged older man who provided me with a strong masculine presence during my formative year.
She was hungry for that relationship and felt she had to earn his love in present day when he finally wanted her in his life, as opposed to when he pushed her away as a child because she couldn't do anything for him.
What are you doing this weekend?
I don't know. I'll probably just go to the amusement park, maybe the circus, fly a kite on the beach, watch the sunset.
Whoa, that sounds like so much fun. Can I come?
Yeah, like I want to spend my weekend hanging out with a little girl.
As an adult, she realized she could keep Bojack around if she was there. This is best shown in how we rarely see Bojack and Sarah Lynn together unless she's doing something for him.
I just want to thank you for coming over this time to give me drugs.
Writing his autobiography, suffocating his guilt by playing daddy-daughter, going on drug-fueled joyrides. When she voluntarily went on a several-month bender with Bojack, she was of sound mind. She had been sober for almost a year. Yes, I know she stopped doing drugs,
Because I heard if you stop doing drugs for a while, the first time you do them again, it's amazing.
but she was still sober, and as we established through the series, painfully self-aware. When Bojack asked her,
You want a party?
without any hesitation, she trashed her progress, ready to follow him into the abyss. This time, when Bojack disappeared, he wasn't in some nebulous, out-of-reach place. She was there with him, and he wanted her there. Through the bender, as Bojack fades in and out of consciousness, Sarah Lynn remains aware of everything. She's lucid enough to rationally comment on and recall Bojack's actions when he can't.
Let's turn this car around right now. I feel like we didn't turn the car around.
No, we did, but then you turned it back around because you really wanted to find that dear girl. So we decided to do a stakeout. There was a whole makeover sequence where we went to the mall and tried on different trench coats for each other. Do you not remember any of that?
Sure, she forgot she was nominated for an Oscar, but the Oscar didn't matter. If Sarah Lynn really lived her life for her fans, this award should have been concrete proof of her worth.
The 2007 Sexually Confident Virgin Tour. My manager leaked nudes to get more tour dates added. My mom pointed out every carb I ate. It was hell. But it gave millions of fans a show they will never forget, and that is worth something.
But what it actually represented was the superficial, entertainment-centered meaning of Don't Stop Dancing. She abandoned her life of fame in one of the most career-making times of her life to focus on the real meaning of the line, being useful to earn the love of those you love. And what's worse, this is the only time in the series Bojack admits he loves her.
I could never figure out what love meant. But right now, I don't need to figure out anything. I just feel it. I love you, Sarah Lynn. Sarah Lynn?
So when she slipped into the night, she did so peacefully knowing she wouldn't have to suffer anymore. She can be a little girl again, back before the system had drained her. Her head resting on her surrogate father's shoulder as she marveled at the world, announcing what she wanted from life.
I want to be an architect.
In that moment, she felt she earned the love she needed. For a second before her death, she could stop dancing. And as she laid there unconscious, Bojack finally said the words he should have told her as a child that would have prevented this all.
So it doesn't matter what we did in the past or how we'll be remembered. The only thing that matters is right now. This moment. This one spectacular moment we are sharing together. Right, Sarah Lynn?
But it was too late.
Sarah Lynn?
Okay, so now that we've looked at Sarah Lynn's Don't Stop Dancing arc, let's discuss why
You are all the things that are wrong with you.
doesn't add up. This line makes complete sense in the context it was said. Bojack had just apologized for the millionth time to Todd for something shitty he'd done. If Bojack's problem is that he feels like a garbage person for all his hauntingly horrible actions, then maybe he should stop doing things he'll regret. But this line doesn't make sense if you believe that one of the main series' messages is that generational trauma is all-consuming and inescapable. The entire premise of the show, or at least what I've been telling people to sell it, is that everyone is a product of their environment. It's a collection of broken people living in spite of their damage but never fully moving past it. It leans hard on this idea that you can't run away from your past. It's part of you and directly affects how you act. And that's what makes this line,
You are all the things that are wrong with you,
so dissonant with the rest of the series. Especially when it comes to Sarah Lynn, whose terrible upbringing wasn't limited to her family. It's more emblematic of a systemic issue pushed by literally everyone around her, including Bojack.
No matter what happens, no matter how much it hurts, you don't stop dancing and you don't stop smiling and you give those people what they want.
That made me think, are you really everything that's wrong with you if what's fundamentally wrong with you is not your fault? We don't have control over how we're hurt. We don't get to choose to be fucked up. We just are. As a friend once told me, you were broken. They were an asshole, but they were also right. I am broken, but we all are a little bit. And while we may not get to choose the damage we have, we do get to choose how we let that damage control us. Don't get me wrong, I know that sometimes scars can be debilitating, but you're not your damage. Like the poster on young Sarah Lynn's wall said, you are in charge of your own destiny. To visit Diane for a bit,
There's no such thing as bad guys or good guys. We're all just guys who do good stuff sometimes and bad stuff sometimes, and all we can do is try to do less bad stuff and more good stuff. But you're never going to be good because you're not bad.
every time you have the choice between living by your trauma and pushing past the pain to do what's right for you, you have just that, a choice. Now that we've talked enough about Diane and free will, let's circle back to Sarah Lynn. Sarah Lynn understood what her demons were. As mentioned, she would regularly bring them up in casual conversation. But instead of trying to rise above them, she accepted them as part of herself.
All my life, I've never been forced to confront my problems head on. So, is it cool if instead of confronting my problems head on, I just hide out here for a little bit?
And while she did do the extremely difficult work of tackling her addiction, she held on to the underlying issues, which inevitably led to her relapsing. It wasn't her fault she had the don't stop dancing mindset, but in her sober head, she did choose to go on an extended bender with Bojack. And despite being the fairly level-headed one of the two, she was also the one who suggested they do heroin. Sarah Lynn's trauma told her that Bojack would leave her unless she kept being of use to him, and she didn't fight that. And that's why in the Don't Stop Dancing reprieve, as much as she seemed afraid of the view from halfway down, she jumped. She chose it. Because to her, it was the only way to escape herself, as opposed to making the hard decision to remove Bojack and find love and acceptance in other ways. In all, Sarah Lynn isn't just a tragic Hollywood figure giving us a glimpse into the world of celebrity, and she's not the contradiction to the main messages of the show. She allows us to fully explore the themes Bojack Horseman, the series, presents us with about the human condition and what it means to be happy. Sarah Lynn pushed Don't Stop Dancing and You Are Everything That's Wrong With You to their limits by working within their obvious and superficial interpretations, forcing us to look closer at their nuanced messages when it comes to sacrifice, personal accountability, and finding peace. But what does this mean for those of us who relate to Sarah Lynn's quest for love and fear of abandonment?
Am I doomed? Are you doomed? Are we all doomed?
Yes. No. Not necessarily. If you're watching this, you're still alive. Sarah Lynn wasn't doomed either. I used to think the show told us there's no cure for the past, but Sarah Lynn shows us that no one is a lost cause unless they believe they are. You always have a chance to take the more fulfilling path.
The funeral was huge. There were so many people there. I kept thinking, I did this to her. And everyone was just standing around like, well, this was bound to happen, but It wasn't bound to happen.
It's hard to sacrifice the looming thoughts you define yourself by, but doing so leads to a lot more joy and growth. You just have to stop dancing for long enough to appreciate it. Unfortunately, Sarah Lynn didn't learn that until it was too late, and there's no defense for that.
Sarah Lynn?
And that is my kind of defense of Sarah Lynn video. If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch more of my defenses of other Bojack Horseman characters, specifically Beatrice and Diane, you can click the link in the cards or in the description. Hi everyone, it's Editing Ari. I am also thinking of making other In Defense videos, like In Defense of Todd or In Defense of Jerry from Rick and Morty. So if you have suggestions of characters from any other TV show or movie that you want to see me defend, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. At this point, I'd like to thank all my patrons: JS Major, Polterkites, Britby, Astro Sandwich, Alex Barkley. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, I really appreciate it. If you, the viewer, also want to support my channel, you can like this video, subscribe, and or donate to my Patreon. The link is in the description below. One last thing for me. I also have an Instagram you can follow. My name is @500daysofari. I just realized that I never talk about it, so I'm mentioning it here. That's it for Editing Ari. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.